You know, these books by Stephen King and now his son Joe Hill have gotten a lot of attention. A lot of people like them. A lot of people like to buy them and read them and talk about them. So we should really just make some movies about these, right? Yeah, but you know what we should do? We should totally change them. Excellent idea. Family's been here a while. You know, folks can get pretty hungry. There's no Mickey D's out here. Nope. You can drink the water that comes out of the ground, and it's gritty and it's awful damn warm. But after a while, you don't mind that. Only we've been in here for days. I'm full now, though. Full as a tick. Hey, you want to see the rock? You want to lay on it naked and feel me and you beneath the pinwheel of stars while the grass sings our names? The grass has things to tell you, and you need to learn to listen. You need to learn to speak tallweed, honey. The rock knows. After you see the rock, you'll understand that I've learned more from that rock in 2 days than I learned in 20 years of schooling. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Today I am going to talk about something a little off-kilter. Not really, because you guys know that I am a part of the kingdom, the Stephen Kingdom, and we always are going to talk about the multiverse when it's anything relating to Stephen King, an adaptation, a book, a TV show, a cartoon, a magazine, no matter what it is, and that includes his son, Joe Hill. In case you guys know, Joe Hill is the son of Stephen King, I guess because he didn't want to be called Joe King. You know, dad jokes all day right here. So what I want to talk about is In the Tall Grass. It is a short story collaborative effort between Stephen King and Son. Came out in 2013, and then as far as I know, this just got its first actual print release in Joe Hill's Full Throttle that just came out like a week ago. That is like a collection of short stories, just like Stephen King does. And In the Tall Grass, when I read it in 2013 when it first came out, it was just an ebook. But I mean, it was a short story. It was literally like 40 pages long. And if you've read any King short stories, you know that they are very quick, they're to the point, they get past the criticism that a lot of people that don't like Stephen King talk about, and that is that he beats around the bush, he takes too long to get to the point. So with his short stories, I feel like these are so fast-paced, they don't do a lot of character development, which I think is one of the greatest things that King does, is this character development. So I've always been like, look, the short stories are good, but you know, it's hard for me to relate to any of these characters when I've known them for 12 pages, and you know, now some horrible fate has befallen them. So I'm kind of a mixed bag when it comes to short stories. I'm more a fan of King's novellas with stuff like The Body or Stand By Me or Shawshank, things like that, where it's you know, not quite a novel in length, but you know, about good 250 pages for King. That's considered a novella, because I feel like you actually get a little more connected to the characters. With something like In the Tall Grass, I think why this one spoke to me when it came out is because it took everything that was great about Children of the Corn. Don't laugh. It was actually really great before the movies just completely just made it a punchline. And it just made it even more scary, in my opinion. The scary kid thing, I don't know. I have kids now. I don't consider kids this big scary thing like I do. Like every horror movie that comes out now is always going to have some scary little boy or some scary little girl. I'm kind of past the scary little kid thing. Even a town run by scary little kids. Yeah, it was scary when I read it when I was younger. But this is more of just that sense of loss. To me, something that really intrigued me is the story of the Donner Party, you know, which is where they go off the beaten path, they get lost, and, you know, just the hysteria that comes from being lost with no way to get out. And this doesn't quite go to the levels of the Donner Party, but it somewhat does. This is non-spoiler, by the way. So this brother and sister, they're going past a field of very tall grass. We're talking like 8 feet tall grass, and they hear someone crying for help. They hear a little kid crying, you know, please come help me. So you know, being normal, rational human beings, hearing a child crying, and like about 5, 6, maybe 8, crying in the distance, you're gonna go see, oh, geez, let me help this kid out who's lost in this tall grass over here. But once they get in there, they realize they don't know how to get out. They can't find this kid. They look around and they notice that things aren't quite what they seem. They do the thing where they like jump up to see over the grass, and they can see each other. But then they do it. When the brother and sister get separated, it's like jump up and hold your hands up, and that way we can see each other. And they do it, and then they do it again. They can't see each other, and so they know something weird's going on. There's a church off in the distance. They'll jump up and look. They'll jump up a second time. You can't see it anymore. So something supernatural is taking place here, and that's when they run into this all the supernatural goodies that make a Joe Hill or a Stephen King story really, really memorable. What I want to talk about now is the Netflix adaptation, because the Netflix adaptation was something I was actually very excited about, because I felt like Netflix kind of had done what movie studios can't. They found a way to actually adapt Stephen King material properly. 1922 was maybe the most faithful Stephen King adaptation I've ever seen. It took out a couple of things, but it didn't change anything. Gerald's Game, wonderful, wonderful adaptation. The book that I thought was unfilmable, and they made that awesome. So I was just already like, look, with all Stephen King adaptations, I've always got a grain of salt where I'm like, it's probably going to be lousy, because they usually are. But with that one, it turned out it just really exceeded my expectations. So with this one, I didn't even dawn on me that maybe it was just not going to be. No way it wasn't going to be really, really good. And I'm not going to say it was bad, guys. I'm just going to say it was a bad adaptation, because I think the mistake that they made with this movie is it's a 40-page novella. It's very quick and to the point. In the first 30 minutes of this movie, faithful as can be. I mean, we're talking down to the there's even like a limerick in the book that they put into the movie. And I'm thinking, okay, this is right on target. Then you get the part where I think is where they messed up, which was making this a movie. This should have been an episode of Creepshow, that new series that they're doing, which is basically like Tales from the Dark Side. For anybody who don't know, Creepshow. It's an original series on some streaming service called Shudder that I don't even know what that is. I'm sorry. I think someone told me it's like the Netflix of horror. There's too many streaming services. I can't keep up anymore, and I'm not buying another one. But I did happen to get my hands on the first episode of Creepshow because it adapted a King short story called Gray Matter that is in Night Shift. And that was always one of the most appreciated by the Kingdom fans of his short story. So it was really cool to see that. And as I was watching this in the tall grass, I thought, this is a 40-page story. How are you going to make an hour-and-a-half movie out of this? Oh, simple. You're going to add characters. You're going to stretch some things out. You're going to add some what I call artistic douchebaggery. And there's a lot of that. I mean, that's just the horror genre right now. A24 has created this thing called elevated horror. If they aren't the ones who created it, I'm sorry. That's just when I first started noticing it. And it's where we just got to put a bunch of artsy-fartsy bullshit in horror movies. And when you don't like it, they just say, oh, well, you just didn't get it. And I disagree with a lot of people like that. Like a lot of people that thought, what was it called? Anyway, it's for another time. But basically, I disagree with a lot of the new, or the film school horror fans, as I call them, who love all that kind of stuff. Me, I don't. I just want to be scared and or uncomfortable in my horror watching. And no, artsy fartsy stuff doesn't really do it. Although I did love Hereditary, so I feel like I'm just kind of straddling the fence here, and I'm getting off topic. As far as this adaptation goes, the stuff that they stick to the book, really, really good. In fact, I think a fan edit could probably take this movie, get it down to about 45 minutes, and it'd probably be really, really good. Anytime Patrick Wilson is in a horror movie, I'm just like, okay, that's automatic. I'm going to watch it. He's Ed Warren in the Conjuring universe. He's in the Insidious movies. Something else he's in. But the guy is like becoming like, or Bone Tomahawk. That's a really underrated one if you guys haven't seen Bone Tomahawk. But yeah, it's pretty much like if it's a horror movie now, and it has Lin Shaye and or Patrick Wilson in it, it's probably going to be at least watchable, right? This is very much watchable. I'd give it probably here's the thing. If you read the short story, you'll probably be disappointed, like I was. My wife didn't read it. She said besides the artsy parts, she actually liked it. So, I mean, everything really always comes down to that. I mean, it's always going to be like that. I didn't like It Chapter 1 as much as everyone else, and I loved It Chapter 2, whereas casuals who didn't read the book didn't like It Chapter 2. So it is always going to be different for someone who's read the book and someone who hasn't. Only barometer I had to test that off of was my wife. To me, again, this would have been better as like a Twilight Zone episode, or like I said, Creepshow. This should have been like a 20, 30-minute short. This shouldn't have been an hour-and-a-half movie because they had to add too much. They went so over the top on the grass some parts, and the CGI looked like laughable sometimes. And I know this is Netflix, but Netflix don't mind pouring some money into stuff, and I don't know. I guess I was expecting more. Like I said, I'd gotten so used to them being able to nail King adaptations after the first 2 tries that I just really thought that, yeah, okay, they've got this figured out. Apparently, it matters who the director is because, Mike Flanagan, that's who did Dr. Sleep, did Haunting of Hill House. He also did Gerald's Game. So obviously it matters who your director is, apparently, when adapting King and or Hill works. Like I said, this is both Stephen King and Joe Hill. When it comes to things like that, fans are always going to argue, well, was it actually him and his dad just put his name on it? Who knows? I think Joe Hill is a very good writer. I've only read Nosferatu, In the Tall Grass, and most of The Fireman. I like what I've read by him. I feel like the apple didn't fall too far from the tree, and that's the highest of compliments come from me when you guys know how much I revere the man. So, guys, I want to know what you thought about In the Tall Grass. Did you have any interest in watching it? Did you even know this was a Stephen King movie? Do you guys even know what I'm talking about? So I just want to give a quick non-spoiler review of In the Tall Grass. I'll just say, the book, very, very good, very, very dark. And, I mean, you can read this in one sitting, 40 pages. It's straight to it. It wastes no time. Within 5 pages, you are in the field, and you are right there with them being scared shitless. And I felt like it was one of the more spooky things I had read from King in a while, and that was in 2013. I just finished Dr. Sleep. I'm going to talk about that later on today, probably. But I definitely recommend that. As far as the movie, if you've read the book, I'd probably pass